Long time ago, in episode 15, we created this program where a circle is bouncing on the walls. I want to make some changes, so instead of having just one circle, we have many of them. Initially, we will not have any circles, but every time we click on the screen, we are adding a circle in that position, whatever the mouse is, and it moves in some random direction. So let's see how we start here. Let's review our original program where we started having some initial position for our only circle and an initial direction. And then we had this simple setup. And then we were drawing the circle and we were changing the position. So we add some increment to our current position. Same thing with the Y value. And then we were having here 4 checks for if statements where we see if the circle is gone too far to the right, then we change direction. If it's gone too far to the bottom, then we also change direction. And same thing on the left border of the screen and on the top border of the screen. So that was our program. So let's make some changes here. I'm gonna delete this comment because now it's not gonna be the initial position. The initial position is going to be whatever we click. So we make all these are going to be arrays now. Circle X, circle Y, move X, and move Y. Each circle needs its own position and direction. And instead of adding a fixed value, we just are creating here empty arrays. We will add items to the arrays later. Okay, so that's done. I'm going to remove this weight here. I don't want to have this big border for now. And we need to add here something related to our mouse. Void mouse pressed. And now here we have to add some elements inside these 4 arrays. Circle X, circle Y, move X, and move Y. So I'm gonna say here circle X is append to circle X 1 element. Here we need to add where is the new circle initially. So I'm going to say is whatever the mouse is, mouse X. I'm going to do the same with the Y variable here. Circle Y is append circle Y, mouse Y. And now we need move X and move Y. So there too, we want to append some value which is going to indicate the direction of our circle. So this is going to be again move X. And what are we adding here? Let's add some random value. Instead of before it was fixed, we had here I think was -2 and 2. So now let's add something random between -2 and 2. And same thing for the vertical direction. Append move Y random -2, 2. And the semicolon at the end of the line. Okay, so now the program, this part is working. Where every time we click on the screen, we are just adding something to these 4 arrays. But this program supposes there is only one circle, and now we have a collection of circles. So we're gonna have to make a while loop to go through all of them. So I will say here int I is 0, and then I make the while loop. So while I is less than the length of one of those arrays, like circle X dot length. It's not important which variable we pick here. We can use any of the 4 because the 4 arrays are always supposed to have the same amount of items. Every time I add 1 item to circle X, I'm also adding 1 item to circle Y and to move X and move Y. So if one has 4 elements, then the others also have 4 elements. That's why I can add here any of those 4. And I'm going to increase here I. So we go through all the elements. Okay, so now here between the while and the increasing of I have to add all this rest of the program. I have to copy. This is the drawing of the circle, the moving, and all 4 checks. So I'm gonna select all this and cut. And I'm going to add it here. And I'm going to press Ctrl T to add the right spaces on the left of these lines. Okay, so now we have here, but now this is assuming still that this is a float variable and not an array. So I have to add the square brackets and I have to add the I. So I'm gonna copy these square brackets I square brackets and add it to all these variables here, circle Y, circle X, Y, here and here, and everywhere. So same thing here in these conditions. Is this specific circle X greater than the width? If it is, then make this specific X equal to the width and then flip the direction this circle was moving, not just the circle, but this specific circle. And I'm going to remove this print lns here. We know that this is working already. So let's add this everywhere here for every variable. I press Ctrl V for each. Okay, there it should be. I'm just going to try run the program and see what do I get. Now I click and there's the circle and it looks like it works. I can click many times and I have many circles bouncing there. That's nice. Let's change the program a little bit. I'm gonna change the background. I'm gonna make it black for now. I'm gonna say I don't want a fill, no fill for my circles. What do we get now? Okay. Now I could replace this background 0 by that fade out effect we once used. So for that, I have to say here fill with black color with low opacity. So I just enter a 10. And I'm gonna make a rectangle, rect 0, 0, width and height. This rectangle is gonna cover the whole screen. And after this, I'm gonna say no fill. So I can remove this one up here, which is not gonna be used. And now they should have some trails behind. What other changes could I do to this program? One thing we could do is make all the circles fall down continuously, like it was kind of a rain. So instead of having the possibility of have vertical motion, if it's -2, it means it's going up. So I'm going to say that I want the motion always to be something like between 1 and 3. And now every time I click, the balls will be falling, but they still bounce. But what if I would like the circles to move always down, never up? So I don't want now that they bounce at the bottom, but when they touch the bottom, they will suddenly appear on the top and continue going down. So I just have to search for this condition where it says here, where the circle touches the bottom of the screen. Then don't keep it at the bottom of the screen and flip the direction. Instead of that, I want it to suddenly to be on the top of the screen. And I'm gonna say here, I'm gonna remove this line. I'm gonna deactivate it. So the direction is not flipped. So the direction is still going down. And now all these circles should always go towards the bottom. But I would like that the horizontal movement is not so visible. So I'm gonna say here, -1 and 1 instead of -2 and 2. And I'm gonna make it possible to move a little bit faster towards the bottom. So it's gonna be between 1 and 3. So now the horizontal movement is smaller. It's mainly downward. And let's add now some defects, some variations. Instead of always having the same size here, let's make it a bit random. So I'm gonna say, I'm gonna declare a float set like size, and this is gonna be a random value between 10 and 30. And I'm gonna use this variable here to define the size of the circles. So now the circles are no longer always equal in size. Now they have this funny effect. Looks like some kind of comet falling down. And what if I add some error in the position? Instead of making them move always in this perfect straight line, I'm gonna add here also some randomness. So it's gonna have its kind of official position, is this X and this Y. But there I'm adding some randomness. I'm gonna say add some random value between -3 and 3. We can try with that. And same thing for the y value. So plus random -3 and 3. So now the lines are not so perfect. You can see it's shaking a bit on the sides. Usually things in real life are never moved in such perfect ways, so it's nice to add some randomness to things. So we have seen how we can take a program that was not using any arrays, it was just moving one object, and we converted this into a new program that uses arrays, so we can have a collection of objects moving. We add new objects every time we click the mouse, but most of the program is still the same. It's the same logic. We just have to now cycle through all the objects and draw them one by one on the screen for each frame. You can take any of our other programs we created at the beginning and try to add arrays to them. Try to make that they are drawing several elements instead of just one.